Welcome, everybody. This is Pastor Blair Blakesley. I'm here to blare the good news of Jesus around the world. I'm glad you're with us, with me tonight, and unless you're watching this during the day, but just glad that you're on board. And my prayer and desire is that you, when you listen to the podcast or watch the YouTube channel, that you're inspired for the Lord. I just want to say thank you for a couple of people that came up to me last week and just said, hey, I just want you to know I'm listening to your podcast and I look forward to hearing them every week. And that means a lot to me. I don't want to just do a podcast so I can say, hey, I do a podcast. Because to me, that's not impressive. I want to be able to say, hey, I'm doing a podcast and God's using it to touch people's lives. Because if lives aren't being impacted or inspired or challenged in some way, then this is a failure of an event. All right. So listen, if you're being inspired, then if I could just encourage you to, subscribe to my YouTube channel and then share it with somebody, because my goal is to impact people's lives. And if you can help me do that, that would be awesome. All right. Well, just that's the thank you I wanted to give. And we want to jump into today's challenge. Today's challenge is we're going through this devotional, 40-day devotional challenge that God inspired me to write. We're on chapter 14 this week. And that chapter is to, as I titled it, touch the heart of a widow or of an orphan or of a child who doesn't have a parent or doesn't have a mother or father figure. So that's the challenge for this week. And I want to read first into James chapter 1, verses 26 and 27, and then we'll get started. So here we go. James chapter 1, verses 26, it says, and God's inspiring James to write this. He says, God says, those who consider themselves religious. All right, so I want you to think about that. But who in the world would think that they're religious? Like, oh, I'm a really religious person. Like I was thinking, boy, if someone goes to church every Sunday and Sunday night and Wednesday night, like I'm a really religious person because I go to church every time that door is open, or I'm a really religious person because I read my Bible, or at least I have my Bible by my bed on my nightstand, or hey, I look at my Bible app every day and read a devotional, or I've memorized so many verses this year. And maybe the religious person would say, I tithe 10%, or I'm better than the 10%er because I'm tithing 11%. Like, wow, okay. And now listen, if you're doing these things, then that's great. That's awesome. But here's the problem in the book of James with the people that are there. God's not impressed because something else is happening beside all these religious things. God says this. Those who consider themselves religious, but they have this problem. They can't keep a tight rein on their tongue. In other words, they can't keep themselves from saying things that aren't very nice. I wrote down, in fact, it says this, they can't keep a tight rein on their tongues and they end up deceiving themselves, thinking that they're religious, but they're not. In fact, God says this, their religion is worthless. Oh my goodness. I mean, that would be like, to me, I need a wake-up call here or something. Somebody help me so that I'm not stuck in this rut. So I was trying to think of different things that maybe people would do when they're not controlling their tongue. And the first thing I wrote down was they're gossiping. People who like to gossip and tell, like, hey, come here, I want to tell you something about what so-and-so did. And you got to hear this. And they just like to talk about other people and their faults. Like I don't have any faults. So I'm justified to tell you about the faults of other people. And this little gossip thing that goes on. When I was in high school, I went out for FFA, Future Farmers of America. And there was a core of us that hung around and in our little group thing. And so, let's say there's four of us that hung around. If one of the four was not there, what happened was us three that were together would talk about the fourth person who's not there. And we would say things like that were odd about them or something stupid that they did, or it would never be anything like encouraging. And then if that fourth person was in the group, but one of the other four weren't there, then us three would talk about that person and say some weird things about them or odd things and whatever. And I to be honest with you, I got to be like arrogant about this whole thing. Arrogant or prideful or vain, as if to be thinking that when I'm not with the four and the other three are together, they're not talking about me because I'm just such a nice person. I'm just like a nice person to be around. And in reality, listen, they were talking about me because I'm not perfect. And I guess to be honest with you, if people really wanted to gossip about me, just follow me around. You're going to find out stupid things that I do. And don't mean to do it, but I just do things sometimes that people could roll their eyes if they were arrogant and prideful like I was. And so yeah, the gossiping, that's just a bad rut to get into, and shame on me for thinking that how wonderful I was. Second thing they wrote down that the people do when they can't control their tongues is they become judgmental of others, and they're quick to confront people on a sin that they're doing. And so I'll just give an example. When I was my first year of college, I went to a Christian college. My first year of college, it was right after I recommitted my life to Christ. I have a fresh and renewed faith in Jesus, and I'm there. All right. And I want to be a role model. I want to be a faithful follower of Christ. I just remember this one day, I'm in the cafeteria down in the basement was the mail room. So when our mail came in, we could check our little mailbox, open it up, reach in there and grab our stuff or whatever. I just remember being down there the one day, and this one kid that was just, a few feet away from me was talking to his buddy, and one of them just like outright swore, like he said a bad word, and it just triggered me. And I wasn't thinking, and I go, "Hey, watch your mouth." I was just so judgmental. I wasn't nice about it. I was letting him know that he was an evil person, and who was he to talk like that? While I'm just being the righteous person over here that would not swear or whatever. So and afterwards I realized that, wow, I shouldn't have, that was harsh, and it caught me off guard, but I said it. I shouldn't have been judgmental, and it didn't help him at all. It didn't inspire him. He wasn't like, wow, you really touched my heart in a loving manner. I want to be just like you. Really? No, it's not at all. In fact, he became like upset. Well, don't be judgmental with me. Don't be pointing your nose down at me. And so I just ticked him off. So he told his buddies like what I did. And so now they're antagonizing me now. Oh, there, I just made a bunch of friends, What a great witness testimony that was. So, and it was a long period of time after I did go back to the person and said, listen, I got him one-on-one. I said, listen, I handled that situation totally wrong, and I want to apologize for it. Well, he acted like, oh, I don't remember that. Well, he remembered, but at least I got my apology out. But it taught me a lesson. Don't be judgmental with your words. Don't look down on people. We're all sinners. We all need love. We need confrontation. Sometimes we do need to be confronted on something, but do in a loving manner, for crying out loud. But anyways, that's the second thing I wrote down. And the third example I wrote down was just anger. Sometimes when people, they don't control their tongue, they don't control their mouth, it comes out when they're angry. They're angry at someone, and they say things that belittle people, belittle their spouse, belittle their kids, and belittle their employees or whatever. And they're harsh, and it tears people down. It makes them feel less than a person. So those are just examples. And God is concerned about this because he wants our religion or our faith to be real. So he's not, I mean, he loves it when we're in the scriptures. He loves it when we're in church, and he loves us when we're giving our 10% tithe or 11 or whatever percent you give. He likes it when we memorize the scriptures because he wants us to memorize scripture. But he's not impressed with it if we're not putting our faith and religion into practice. And this is what the rest of James 1 verses 26 and 27 says. This is what captures the heart of God right here. Religion, or a faith that God, our Father, accepts it as being pure and faultless, is this. This is it. To look after orphans and widows in their distress. That's impressive to God. Listen, Blair, I don't want to hear about all this wonderful Bible stuff that you do. I want to hear about your wonderful podcast. I want to know, Blair, are you helping those who are in distress, like the widow and the kids who don't have a mother or father figure? Are those people important to you? Are you loving on them? Or are you reaching out to them? Because that means so much to me. And I'm like, I mean, that's a challenge to me. And I want to be a challenge to you that, hey, I want to get this focus, this pride and arrogance out of my life so that I can focus on what God really wants me to. I remember when we were little kids, we had this dog. We just bought this dog. My parents bought it for us kids. There's 4 of us, Kevin, Christy, Blaine, and Blair. And, we loved the new dog, excited puppy, but it wasn't potty trained. And my dad would set out newspapers at night, hoping that he wouldn't poop on the floor, or even he didn't want him messing on the newspaper. He wanted him to hold it till morning so we can let him outside. Boy, every morning we come down and there the dog would, have his doo-doo on the newspaper. And then my dad would take the dog and put his nose down by his doo-doo and, rubbed it around in there like, you said I did you, like yelling at the dog and wanted to get to the idea that, hey, I don't think I'm supposed to be doing this. I think I'm going to hold this so I can go outside. And so this went on for quite a while. Well, in the meantime, my mom was getting frustrated because she would go to use the bathroom and she'd go in there and somebody would use it and go number 2 and they didn't flush the toilet. And so she confronted us. She's, all right, which one of you kids didn't flush the toilet when you were done? Well, oh, not me. And so she, well, make sure you flush the toilet. I'm tired of coming in here, blah, 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 blah. So this went on. Next time, same thing. She goes in there. Nobody flushed the toilet when they were done. She yelled at us again. And this went on for, a few weeks. And finally, one day she just says, all right, that's it. The next time I come in here and someone didn't flush the toilet, if I find out who it is, I'm going to treat them like the dog. And I'm going to take their head, I'm going to put their head down inside the toilet and let them see that this is what they forgot to flush. So we're like, whoa. So one particular day, we're all upstairs in our bedrooms. Us kids are in our bedrooms. And my mom's in her bedroom. Her and dad are getting ready to go someplace. And Kevin, my oldest brother, comes out of his bedroom, goes down the hall, which is just like 8 feet away, uses the restroom. We could hear him in there. I mean, we heard him go in there because there's the accordion door that when you close it, it kind of like comes unfolded. Boop, boop, boop. And then when he was done, folded it back up. You could just hear it on the rail going back forth. And so then he goes in his bedroom. Then my mom, she's going to use the restroom because she's getting ready to go someplace. She wants to go to the bathroom. And sure enough, Kevin didn't flush the toilet. And she is mad. All right, who was just in here and didn't flush the toilet? Well, Blaine and I, my twin brother, we were just so happy to share with her that Kevin forgot to flush the toilet. And so we Kevin was just in there, here we are being the self-righteous people that we are. And Kevin was just in there and boom, boom. So she's like, Kevin, get in here right now. So sure enough, she, took his head and stuck it just down inside the toilet. Like, you see that? That's what you're supposed to flush when you're done going to the bathroom. Now flush the toilet. So he's like, flushes the toilet, and he's mad, and he stomps into his bedroom, and Blaine and I, we're just in there laughing so hard, because it was him and not us. If we could just stop for a second and just say, hey, what am I losing focus of? Has my pride and arrogance become so intense that God is going, listen, I need to get your attention. Do you see the pride and arrogance in your life? I want you to get rid of it, and let me help you get rid of your pride and your arrogance so that you can get your focus on those who are in distress, the widows and the children who have lost a parent or parents, and they need someone to come alongside them and love them and do something with them. That's my challenge. And this is real. This is real stuff. There are people hurting, who've lost a husband or a wife, some spouse, and they're begging for someone to come and spend time with them, or the orphan, or the child without a mother figure or father figure, or both, who are just looking for someone to say, I want to hang out with you today. So that's my challenge. My challenge is that you would say, okay, God, show me a widow, someone that's home alone, that I can reach out to. I can call them on the phone. I could go visit them. I can send them a card and take them for a ride or whatever. And the same with God, show me maybe it's a child, maybe it's a teenager, maybe it's a young kid that you want me to reach out to and just love on, to take them someplace, to an event, something fun, the church, Sunday school, a youth event, something that they would enjoy. Find out something that they like and then go do it with them. And they would probably not even care what you did, because they would love so much to have that attention from you, to just love on them and treat them as if they're valuable and important, because they are valuable and important. So, hey, that's my challenge. And as always, then let me know what you did. You don't have to tell any of it. Just say, hey, I contacted a widow, or I took my neighbor kid out, or whatever, something. Just, I'd love to hear it. So jump on board and let's do this, do it together. I'm going to share something next week, or maybe I'll just share it on YouTube. I'll type it in there, whatever, you can read it, or maybe I'll do both. But thank you so much just for coming on board here, and look forward to connecting with you again. Look forward to hearing from you. I love you. Jesus loves you even more. Let's spread the good news to those around us. All right. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.